Good morning, this is TCR, TroyCommunityRadio.com. I'm Clint Myers on 107.1 WTJN for David Denoyer on TCTV. It's time now for the Mayor's Report, and with us this morning is Mayor Michael Beamish.
Well, good morning, Clint. Good morning, David, and good morning, all the listeners.
It's starting to look like spring outside finally.
Spring is sprunging.
Yeah.
Spring is sprung. No, it's been great.
Got some tulips and daffodils, different flowers that are...
Buds on the trees.
So I cannot wait. You also have the Mayor's Float coming up here not too long from now.
It's in May 12th. We'll have a big gala event there, and I hope many people participate.
That'll be here before we know it.
We'll be on the river.
Now, you had the state of the city in this last week out of the Crystal Room.
We
Tell
sure
us a little
did,
bit about
and
that.
I want to give David a thank you for participating. He taped that program for a lot of people who couldn't be there. I would also indicate to you, if you would like to get what I call a study guide of some of the highlight film of that State of the City address, we do have that in the City Hall. All you have to do is come up to the Mayor's office. We'll be happy to give you one so you have an idea of where we are, where we've been, and where we're heading in the city of Troy.
All right, and that's all moving forward.
It's all moving forward. We do have our challenges, and I've got with me a special guest, but I shared three challenges that we have. One is we still deal with state funding sources. We've lost local government funds through the state. There's efforts to continue that loss to local governments. And that will affect us and what we can continue to do. We've been very blessed to have great stewardship in this city and good investment portfolio and a good bond rating. So we've been able to move forward as a city with some of our projects, which I think we need to do. However, we do have to be very cognizant of the efforts being made, and not just for Troy. This is all the jurisdictions throughout the state are possibly affected. So that's a challenge we need to be very aware of. The second challenge is we need to continue. We have jobs. People ask for jobs. We need jobs. Well, we have had expansion efforts, retention efforts, reuse of building efforts in our community. We have jobs available if people would like to retool maybe, retrain maybe, or just take the jobs that we have available. So workforce development is a key challenge for us. We need to have the people to take the jobs, to hold on to our businesses, both small and large businesses here in the Troy area. So that's a challenge that we still have to be aware of. And the last one, I mentioned I have a special guest, and I'm sure he would agree with this one. We don't have our head in the sand. We do know we have addiction issues within this city, this county, this state, this country.
Yes.
And heroin being probably one of the biggest addictions. And we in Troy have organized a quick response team. It's a faith-based team, but it includes our police and our fire and our social service agencies. So we are trying to make a dent. But that's an issue that does affect all of us and in our workforce development, because people want people to show up, be drug-free, and be willing to work. So those are the challenges that I shared in our State of the City, but it was an awful lot of positive things, and I would encourage people to get a copy of what I call the study guide, which shows the highlight film of where we have been, where we are, and where we're heading. So I enjoy doing that every year.
And also, David will have that as well edited and posted up on Troy Community Television on Demand.
Well, I appreciate what David did. He was there and set up, and I've always said both of you do a lot to promote our community, and David was there for the State of the City.
All right. Well, like you said, you do have a couple of guests with you here this morning, Mayor.
I'm very pleased to introduce to you Captain Shawn McKinney. He's been a captain for about a year and a half now. He's the administrative captain, but he has other responsibilities, and one of those responsibilities is our parking control officer. And I'm not going to introduce that person. I'm going to introduce Shawn to you. Shawn is I've been with our Troy Police Department, come up through the ranks, is now a captain, and does the administrative duties for our Troy Police Department. So it's really a pleasure for me to introduce Captain Shawn McKinney, who will introduce a special guest that we have with us today.
Welcome to the program, Captain McKinney.
Good morning. Thank you.
Glad to have you on the show. Well, what are some of the things so people understand what it is to be captain?
Well, as the administrative captain, I'm in charge of several different things, including the parking control program. The chief thing I'm in charge of is the records department there at the police department. Some other duties that fall underneath me are the accreditation program, the building maintenance, and we go from there.
Okay. Now, with parking has always been kind of an issue in downtown Troy, and to so to say, kind of get your hands wrapped around it. I mean, the enforcement is what we need to have to make sure that everyone plays fair when it comes to the parking spaces downtown.
Yes, there are a lot of competing interests downtown in parking.
Yes.
All the businesses that have more short-term guests want that parking available, and they want the turnover in the parking spaces, whereas we have downtown residents and the downtown employees and business owners that want longer-term parking that is close to their business. So, and there's a limited amount of spaces downtown, and to try to balance all those interests is a constant juggling act.
Now we have parking over on Cherry that would be, a paid parking, but not necessarily right out in front of the businesses, but it's convenient to the downtown. And we also have other areas like that throughout the town as well.
Yes, we have 3 metered lots downtown, the one on North Cherry Street, the one by the police department on Mulberry Street, and the one by the rec. There's also what we call the kiosk lot that has a parking kiosk on South Cherry Street. And then additionally, the angled parking spots are free for 2 hours per space per day.
Now, there's one of the tricky things I don't think everyone understands. It's the 2 hours per space per day. So that it isn't like you just need to move your vehicle, or if you wind up back in the same spot throughout the day, there's a chance that you could get a ticket in that.
Yeah, so it's important that you move from one spot and then completely go to a different spot.
It's really paying attention to what you're doing when you're parking downtown.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you have brought someone with you, and this is our parking enforcement.
Yes, our parking control officer is Dan Griffith. He's been with us since January. And before we started enforcing the parking violations downtown this past winter, we really tried to educate the public about the enforcement starting up again. Our previous parking control officer, he retired in April of 2016, so there was kind of a dead spot there where the enforcement wasn't as strict as it was. And then when we brought Dan back on board, since we were stepping back up our enforcement efforts, we tried to warn basically the public that, hey, you need to pay attention to these regulations again, because we are going to start enforcing these.
Well, and it's paying attention to it whether we know that the enforcement is out there or not. It's again, it's fair play for everyone downtown, and that's what it ensures. Dan, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about how has it been going since you started?
Every day is a challenge.
Every day is a challenge, and
That's a good thing.
And you're right. It's a matter of, I think, keeping people on their toes to really understand, the idea of the fair play with the parking.
Right. Well, it's kind of like Captain McKinney was just saying. You know what? When the cat's away, the mice will play, right? So
Yes.
so it's just trying to bring people back into the idea of we're enforcing this a lot bit more.
Is there any area where you see where there's more of an issue?
Yes, certainly with big trucks that are parking in the angled parking spots downtown.
Yes.
That's they're making trucks bigger than what they used to,
Well, and more than just trucks, I even believe that there are some vehicles and SUVs that will stick out a lot further too.
Those are about the if they're the same size as those trucks, we run into the same issues with them. Humorously a little, I've even written very small cars that just don't pull all the way up to the curb.
And I've seen that as well.
And they get the same ticket that big trucks get for being parked out in the road. But the bottom line is, if you're parking in angled parking, especially in the downtown area, some of these lanes are a little narrower than others, and you have to be careful and check the back of your truck, check the back of your parking job to make sure the back of your vehicle is not sticking out in the lane of travel, so that people going by at 25, 30 miles an hour can go through safely without having to move over into the other lane and cause quite a pickle there on the road there.
Well, a lot of times people come to an abrupt stop in the lane because they realize with traffic to the left of them, there is no place to go. Another one of my questions, well, maybe it would be more of a statement. The solution to the problem of a longer vehicle is not pulling up on top of the sidewalk.
That's a separate offense.
Okay, as well I thought so.
Which my camera captures and my ticket writes. So, no, that's a separate offense. The solution to that problem is, I tell people all the time, every day almost, look at the side streets. You have parallel parking on the side streets.
And as well, like the Cherry Street parking lot,
as well as
other areas where that they could go.
The metered lots, Cherry Street lot.
With the longer vehicle,
yes.
That wouldn't be, protruding out into traffic.
Right. I even encourage people to use the quadrants, because the quadrants they're very spacious to get big vehicles in there.
Yes.
And have plenty of room to maneuver around for backing out, for pulling through, for anything you need to.
And speaking of the quadrants, there really isn't any parking spaces where you can just pull in and stop that isn't marked. I've seen people that will pull in and maybe to the inside of the circle where they park by the green space in the actual thoroughfare. That's more of a non-parking spot, or
right.
even temporary,
right.
to leave your vehicle.
Right. No, if we understand if there are trucks that are making deliveries, we have businesses downtown,
right.
food businesses, etc. We understand that, and we have provisions for that matter. But to park your car and leave your vehicle, it needs to be in a space.
Yes.
It needs to be in a designated space, not your own space that you made up. And you're subject to 2-hour laws or 15-minute laws or whatever the sign may state.
All right. And what is the parking fine downtown beyond the 2 hours right now?
If you are parked illegally, you get a ticket. It's $20 within the first 3 business days. That is paid downtown at the police department, or it can be mailed in. After 3 business days, it jumps up to $50.
Okay, well,
just to encourage people, hey,
to get it taken care of,
get this squared away. Let's not leave it hanging out there.
Well, I think like most people in Troy, I can admit that I've gotten a ticket before, but the first thing I do when I get the ticket is I just immediately go down and I pay it, and it's understanding that I got the ticket because I did park outside of the time limit. There was a reason I got that.
And it's really not the end of the world, is it?
No, it isn't. And Dan is a nice guy.
That's true.
Dan is a nice guy.
I have a lot of good interaction with people, easily on a weekly basis, usually on a daily basis. But sometimes people take it a little personally. It's never meant personally.
All right. Dan Griffith, thank you very much for being on the program.
You're welcome.
This
Thanks
morning.
for having me.
What can I say? I think you see Dan has personality. He gives service with a smile, even though some of that service is a ticket. But the whole idea, the whole concept, I think Shawn would agree with me, is we're trying to produce a fluid downtown, but we're a safe downtown as well. And I'm glad Dan brought up the extended vehicles.
Yes.
That stand out there, because on Main Street, we just have very narrow lanes. And as cars need to travel through, anything that's sticking out becomes a safety hazard. So I think Dan gave some good advice. Move into the quadrants, move out, away. We walk, many of us will park our cars and think nothing about walking through Kroger's or Myers or Mars, where we walk extended distances to get whatever we're needing, and we don't think anything about that. But parking in downtown, we want to be right in front of the store, and it may not always be possible to do that. But we do have parking, as Captain Shawn shared. We do have extended parking lots where people can still walk in short distance, but they still can do their business and enjoy the ambiance of the downtown. So Dan's really just doing his job, and he's doing his job to provide the fluid movement through the downtown, but also safety, awareness for those that are passing through.
Well, absolutely. And if someone were to park one of those longer vehicles out into the lane of traffic and say somebody hit them, the person that is parked in the spot then becomes the person at fault.
We do issue a ticket to both the person who is parked and the person who struck the vehicle when those accidents occur. And they occur on a fairly frequent basis.
More, and that is sad to hear, but hopefully in more of a crackdown on that this issue will kind of come to the forefront of people when they come downtown and go to park and think, is this going to fit in this parking spot? And like you said, Mayor, there is a lot of parking downtown, and it really isn't that far to walk for anyone.
You see it every day because you have the beautiful view. You see the downtown, the beauty of downtown, but you also see the possible potential problems. But
yes.
Dan's out there. He runs a circuit. You'll see his little car out there going up and down with the lights on. But I just will say Dan's doing his job. Dan is a great individual person. Like I said, he does service with a smile. And if people just understand, it's a tough job. Somebody's got to do it. And it is for the safety of all the people moving through our community, as well as those who want to spend time in our community so that everybody has opportunities to enjoy the downtown.
Absolutely. I will also add in that if you see Dan out and about, make sure you say hi to him. And if you wind up with a ticket, thank him, because that means he is doing his job.
And we are doing a parking study. We are looking at other opportunities or ways we can tweak things to also continue to make a vibrant downtown and a safe downtown.
All right. Anything else that you would like to add in, Mayor, or any of you, actually?
Well, I'll start with Captain Shawn and the parking control officer, Dan, to see if they want to add anything, and then I have some closing couple of things.
Okay.
The most frequent parking violations we see downtown are the 2-hour violations, the extended vehicles, parking on the sidewalk, and probably not parking within the lines. So we want everybody to not take up 2 spaces. So we do issue
being limited to begin with, yes.
For parking within the lines. And those seem to be probably our key violations we see. So if those are the issues we have, try not to violate those.
All right. Dan?
$20. It's not the end of the world. It's not meant to break the bank. It's just meant to encourage you not to be a repeat offender.
Absolutely.
Well said, Dan.
Very well said.
Well, we do have a couple of items I'd like to share. First of all, City Council meets on April the 3rd, Monday. It's a regular council night, first and third Mondays. And so we encourage people to get involved, but we do a live stream, and so we do have a tape too, so people get a chance to see what government's all about. I want to mention that on Sunday, this Sunday, April 2nd, the United Methodist Church is going to be hosting the Capital University Chapel Choir. This is something special. It comes under the auspices of the Troy Mayor's Concert Committee, and
those are always great shows.
And yes, and David Pinkerton is also very active on that concert committee. But he also will have his bell choir performing. That's 7 o'clock at the First Methodist Church, and I would encourage everybody to come and listen and enjoy the concert that's going to be presented. Now, normally people think of the Mayor's Concert Committee having the Troy Mayor's Concert, and that would be taking place way down the road in August 20th to be exact. Also, I will mention that on April the 11th, we'll have a special guest for this program, and that'll be Jerry Mullins, our street foreman. We've had Jerry here before. He's an entertaining presenter. And he's
Absolutely.
going to be here to talk about all those issues that are associated with recycling, trash pickup, the whole gamut, including looking at our new carts that we're going to be introducing starting May 1st. So he can wrap around and have at least give our community residents an idea of what's to come and why we're doing that too. So Jerry Mullins will be here on April the 11th for that particular tape show.
All right. All right, Mayor. Well, we look forward to speaking with him next week, and we thank you all for being on the program this morning.
Thank you, Clint.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. This has been the Mayor's Report. I'm Clint Myers on 107.1 WTJN.